Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our next Robot Heroes podcast.
Today we're looking at the movie that's rebooted the Transformers franchise,
Bumblebee. On the run in 1987, Bumblebee finds a refuge in a junkyard in a small Californian beach town.
That's where they are.
Now, Charlie, played by Hailee Steinfeld, on the cusp of turning 18 and trying to find herself, discovers Bumblebee, battle-scarred and broken.
Yeah, of course. It's almost like a girl and her horse, only it's a girl in her car.
Yes.
It's like those types of movies like you always see. Mm-hmm. And it's set in 1987 instead of present day.
And
you have to save a ranch.
Pseudo 87, and we'll discuss that later.
Right. And you have to save a ranch or anything.
So, first of all, I know this had been highly anticipated, not only by Bumblebee fans, who are truly Bumblebee fans, but also by Transformer fans. I personally love the franchise, except for that first light, last night, hopefully never another night.
Right.
So I really was looking forward to this movie, and it did not disappoint. It was fantastic, well written, and personally, I was still happy to see Michael Bay do something with the movie.
Right.
The budget was
I think like
135 million.
Okay.
And it grossed over 465 million at the box office. So
wow,
it was well worth the investment and the risk.
So yes, and it's gonna have a sequel, which we know they've announced they're gonna do a Bumblebee sequel. So we don't know if he'll meet another person after that, because it's assumed that this is when they get to the Transformers movie, the first one in the franchise, since this is like a prequel and a reboot somehow.
Well, I think a hint comes as we know how it ends.
Right.
And whom he ends off leaving with.
Right.
So I think that's a clue as to how the next movie's going to end.
Right. So that was a good lead off. But if they're doing a sequel, that means it's probably another story right before that movie. Or maybe it's another story and maybe after Shia LaBeouf was no longer in the film franchise. Maybe it could be that as well. Mm-hmm. So the movie also had, besides Hailee Steinfeld, we also had John Cena, a great actor.
Yes, John Cena. We love John Cena.
We had Dylan O'Brien as the voice of Bumblebee in the beginning of the film.
Mm-hmm. And it was too bad that it was only for that short time, because I really liked how his voice matched up with Bumblebee.
Right. We also had Pamela Adlon, John Ortiz, Jason Drucker, and Jorge Lindenberg Jr. I think I'm saying that right, Lindenberg. Really? Okay, doesn't look like it. I think because I've seen it the other way all the time.
Lende Lindenberg Jr.
Okay, bye. But yeah, the movie was very, very action-packed. And even though it was directed by Travis Knight, they kind of switched it around. Michael Bay was producing it, but he wasn't directing it, and Travis Knight did it. Mm-hmm. It did have a different feel from the other Transformers movies. Different cinematography. They look like the G1 designs, which people have been begging from to do for years. Mm-hmm. And they presented a more family-friendly approach with it. Mm-hmm. However, the elements that were still similar to Michael Bay were the explosions. Only difference is it wasn't all throughout the movie. It was just in the action scenes. But when it was in the action scenes, it was all over the place. Right. And some of the more intense moments of the Decepticons and the Autobots when they fought, they really fought. Heck, the very beginning of the movie is on Cybertron already. There's chaos, explosions and stuff. It's like, what was the difference again for the beginning?
What I really liked about this movie is you got to see Bumblebee's personality. You got to see him interact with the human. When we had the Transformers first movie with Shia LaBeouf, it was a difference. It was more where they had kind of done a stereotypical version of a boy and his body. Honestly, I love the movie, but that's how it's presented. But in this one, you got to see that she really cared for Bumblebee. You got to see that he had a wide range of emotions. He was really intelligent, and everything would happen before, in the beginning of the movie, before how he had to really come back from the attack. And you could see that he loved the interaction with her, the physical interaction.
Right.
He loved her talking to him. He has his playful nature. I really liked seeing all of that for Bumblebee.
Right.
So for those who were wanting that, bravo. I'm so glad you asked for it, because it really did give this movie a dimension that the other Transformers movies
right.
didn't have.
And another difference is that the Autobots are also a lot smaller. The scale that they had them in the original were like gigantic, really, really gigantic, and they would be car sized when they transform. But in here, it seems Bumblebee's not that much bigger than the human.
Fit into actual indoor places.
Yeah. While the other movies had him where he was so big he had to be in the garage because he probably tear up the house, which he did anyway. And here, yeah, he was actually more, I guess it's more realistic size rather than alien size. They made him more, this is probably what how big the car would be if it was on two legs or something. So, and they also played around with the designs where he would be half transformed in certain areas. In other areas he was still the car, in some areas he was still the robot, and they would play around with that. And we also saw some deleted scenes. Some included with John Cena's alternate scenes or lines, which we weren't sure if they were.
They were called outtakes, but they weren't outtakes. They were staged outtakes. And unfortunately, as much as I love John Cena, I could have done without that part of the special features.
Right. Because it was unclear if that was supposed to be part of the movie or not, because they didn't seem like outtakes.
No, they didn't.
And the deleted scenes that they took out were a good idea to take out because either they didn't fit within the movie, or there was no need for them. They were just kind of added in filler or something. So it was a good idea that they took out a lot of those scenes when you see them in the menu.
And I thought it was funny when we were watching the movie, and I kept saying, because 80s is my childhood, and I kept watching going, that's not really 80s. They didn't have those underneath shorts in the 80s. We couldn't wear that in the 80s.
Right.
Nobody wore their hair like that. And Rascal thought I was nitpicking, and probably, nostalgia was clouding my mind. But then we watched the special features, and the woman who wrote the script said particularly and specifically that she did not want to do an 80s
feel.
Yes.
It's just nostalgic feel, but that's it.
And she didn't want to stick to the actual clothes and things like that. It's not 80s.
Right. And saying it's like they were
it was more like a nod. Okay, let's pretend we're in this time frame, but really,
that's why I just said
that
nostalgic.
hair and those clothes are not going to be canon. That's what it was like.
Yeah, she was stating that, I guess, for the time, and found, I guess, now later is like, oh gosh, you wore that and stuff. Like, yeah, but it seemed like she in particular was a little embarrassed of it, so she kind of wiped out all of the colorness and the wackiness of the 80s of it, and just made it where, okay, we wore this and we were hip and we were cool, and that's it.
No.
It just literally said nostalgic 80s feels. You're not actually in the 80s, because then you wouldn't like it.
Well, I disagree. I think it would have been more fun. Now, despite that, the music was awesome. There were so many songs I could sing along, and I knew the words, and I really loved it. And I'm one of these people that has a file cabinet for music. Jingles, songs, doesn't matter the decade, from 80s on, I remember every word. So I really, really enjoyed the soundtrack for this movie. So, thumbs down to not making it truly 80s like Stranger Things. I mean, Stranger Things is the blueprint for how to do a time period right. Everything about Stranger Things is exactly the 80s and the time period of clothing, even to the looks of the kids that are in it. They look like actually 80s kids, like they look. Now, that being said, again, thumbs up, 2 thumbs up for the soundtrack. Really good job.
Right. All of it was really fun hearing them, and they would have the goofiness.
And there were actual hits. Every song was an actual hit during that time.
Right. And they also showed how Bumblebee started using the radio to communicate. At first, it was just putting in cassettes stuff he would like, and he didn't like any of the music she picked, and kept spinning it out to a point where they had the Rick Astley playing, and Rick Astley playing like Tuesday, Never Gonna Get Back. It's like, no, I'm not playing that. Forget it. And she didn't like the Smiths. He didn't like, you don't like anybody. He like records. I'm like, of course you do.
Right.
Another thing we gotta point out are the voice actors they had for the movie. Now, they didn't have a ton of Autobots in here. They mostly showed the beginning with the Decepticons during the war, and then that was it. They kind of just had 4 main ones. They had, like we said, Dylan O'Brien as Bumblebee. They had Dave Sobolov, who you know of a lot of cartoons, as Blitzwing. And they had,
of course, Greg Griffin.
Yeah, Greg Griffin was RC. Steve Blum was Wheeljack. Peter Cullen, of course, returned as Optimus Prime.
And they had a different one, actually 2 people who haven't done voices for the characters, whether it's been in a live action movie and animation. One was Angela Bassett.
Yeah, Shatter.
And also Justin Theroux.
As Dropkick. Yeah. I'm like, oh, they actually had two major stars. Because usually they have voice actors do the Transformers, and then celebrities are the humans. And here they kind of switched it up and had two celebrities do the voices of Transformers. So that was different.
And also difference is they had one actor doing the voices of two of the Decepticons, Shockwave and Soundwave.
Right, John Bailey. Because in some versions, like we've seen, they have no voice, and others they do. And here, like I said, their roles were kind of short. They were just meant to be what was going on, like on the brink of the end of the war, where it was just pretty much decimating the planet. And it has shown that a lot of these Decepticons were going after them before they could even get off the planet. And Bumblebee's job was to get to Earth and set up a base so they can go there and seek refuge. Which didn't work out because then you have 5 movies later Decepticons attacking. But it was a good effort though in seeing how it began.
Yes, definitely. So this is a great addition to the Transformer franchise. I know that it's a reboot. I understand that. But for me, again, the first 4 movies of Transformers, the original theatrical
Movies,
franchise, I love.
Right.
Like I said, First Light, Last Night, Never Be Another Night. That was the worst piece of drivel they've ever made. It should have never been made. Too bad they couldn't have gone from number 4 and then skipped to this.
Right.
The only bright spot about that movie was, as always, Mark Wahlberg.
Right.
So I'm really excited to see where they're going to go with this franchise, this new rebooted franchise. And I'm really, really hoping they have one for Optimus Prime, my favorite.
Oh, yes, they were. They canceled it. I'm not kidding. They said it would probably be too difficult to make. I don't know how.
What do you mean?
I guess with too much backstory, too much effect. I don't know. Bumblebee's really easy to make. I'm sorry because you have enough. You already established your character. You can just start off from the Cybertron. Optimus, you have to go before the war started. You have to go from when he wasn't even a prime yet, and there was a lot of story, and then leading up to the war.
You wouldn't have to go through all of it. You could just go to, maybe showing the beginning, and then showing right before he went and became with the Transformers.
Right.
That's the way I see it. But anyway, at least he's still in the movie.
Right. Now they might do it later, but when I saw the news, they said they were planning one, and then they abandoned the project. So it may have been too difficult to make. And then they got the Cybertron series and yada yada yada. So hopefully they change their minds and eventually we'll get one before we're 100.
And they get one while Peter Cullen is still here.
Yeah. Because if they do it after, you are in trouble. And it's not going to be the same.
The closest you would have to matching his would be Neil Kaplan.
Yeah, that'd be it.
Yeah.
So, if you haven't seen the Bumblebee movie, you should check it out. It's really
fun. But we know you have.
Right, because
everyone talks about it.
Right, and everybody talks about it. So, if you have seen it, which you most likely have, go ahead and tell us what you thought of it in the comments. And in comparison to the previous movies of Michael Bay heading them.
And if you want to see an Optimus Prime base movie, please let Mama know in the comments below.
Yes. So, thank you so much for watching, and tune in for the next podcast. I'm Masculine Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.
And reporters sitting, flashing lights, trying to walk around, man, who the hell are you? What you wanna do? Well, man, it's on you. Man, it's on you. With her in my dreams, she was my queen. A castle in the mountaintops, rivers and streams. Plucking sunlight from the sky in my pocket. Give it to you later on in the form of a light.